Hi, Ravi.
Good morning.
Morning, Tushar.
How are you doing?
Doing good. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I think people are still joining in.
Yeah, the link just got shared at 7:14. So
Nice.
people will take a bit of. Hi, Shilpa.
Good morning.
Good morning, Shilpa. How are you doing?
Doing great. Eager to listen to you.
Oh, thank you so much. You must be an early riser. You look so fresh. You must have taken the walk and had your coffee and everything.
Yes, yes.
That's nice.
Just to share, we have a small study group on company secretary. So that session was from 5:15 to 6:15.
Oh,
Because
today
it
we had
is, huh,
today. Okay.
yeah, because it's a weekend, it was like general. Otherwise, weekdays it's on company secretary, reading companies act together.
Got it. Got it.
So my day started quite early today.
Oh, very nice. So my sister has been in Bangalore since 10 years. So that's why I keep on coming there. She's also an early riser. So very good early morning Bangalore, birds and beautiful weather and yeah. So how many people are likely to join?
We usually start our session this time only, sharp at 7:30. By the time we finish introduction, few of them will come. By the
And
time,
yeah. And how much time should I take? Should I like keep it at 45 minutes or what do you feel about that?
the session is from 7:30 to 9:30 till 9. You can continue. After 9, suggest that you can take up sessions. Questions.
Okay, so 1.5 hours means then I will have to cover the background of how globally venture capital is coming in front, and then macroeconomy and everything I'll have to do.
Then you can keep it short and take questions.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Sure.
Shilpa, we'll start.
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this session on what's very interesting to all of us, which is how to raise funds for clients. I hope all of us are interested in that. And interestingly, in the context, how we fit in valuations will also be good to hear from Tushar. And it's great that we've organized this session courtesy Shilpa, and I appreciate all the efforts from Ravindranath and the team at the back end as well. Over to you, Shilpa.
It's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Mr. Tushar Kan. Mr. Tushar is an accomplished professional with experience spanning multiple sectors from venture capital, Big Four, LSE listed Systemas India's unit to CFO of Guggenheim Partners owned company. Tushar has expertise of financial and business advisory, fundraising, and creation of docs and collaterals for VC funding. Tushar is a venture advisor with Loyal VC, the INACEAD-led Canadian VC fund, having a core portfolio of over 160 investments in more than 35 countries. Over the years, Tushar has arranged funding for startups and growth stage companies in diverse sectors like EdTech, FinTech, consumer B2C, B2B, and D2C, agri-tech, disruptive and deep tech, as well as non-tech sectors. By profession, he is a CA, ACMA, CGMA, qualified independent director, and a BCom graduate. Over to you, Mr. Tushar.
Thank you. Thank you, Shilpa. I would like to start by saying that I'm not a CA. So, on the accounting side, I won't be able to help much. I can see, having worked for Deloitte and having done valuation assignments. So, we can have some good things to discuss. But primarily, my focus of the talk today would be funding, venture capital, funding, and basically, what do investors look for? I mean, when we talk to investors, what are they looking for? So this thing has actually come out in the forefront since some time, and also especially in this year, because we are seeing an explosion in the number of companies which are becoming unicorns. Unicorn means a company which achieves $1 billion valuation. And there was a time in China when there were 4 unicorns getting born every week. And now what we are seeing in India is that the same phenomena. There are 4 unicorns which are being born every week. And the leaders who are creating this is SoftBank and Tiger Global. Just like Tiger Global was spearheading this thing in 2014. Just like that, they are now spearheading this alongside SoftBank. So basically, why so much media hype? Why so much hype on valuations? Why so much spotlight on venture capital? See, what has happened is that sometime after 2008, the Western countries, primarily the good, strong currencies like dollar, euro, and yen, they looked at the global economy and they said that a large part of the global economy is being run because of easy availability of money. And this money sloshes around in different asset classes and creates valuations. And uh, and uh, just like the dot-com boom and bust happened in 99 2000, and then the Lehman crisis happened in 2008, and now the COVID crisis which happened. The common thread running across these incidents is the easy availability of money. So manufacturing was shifted from the Western countries to initially to Japan, and then after the Plaza Accord, when Japan went down, to South Korea, Taiwan, and then Malaysia and Singapore and Indonesia, and latest being China. So they all caught on to the manufacturing wave. They got a huge industries shifted from US and Europe towards the eastern part of the world on the back of cheap labor, on the back of easy availability of land, on the back of good infrastructure like logistics and ports and electricity and water, and easy clearances, easy licensing regime, and so on. So the Western world, there was a lot of awareness about environmental issues, especially in Europe, and they happily gave their manufacturing industries to the eastern part of the world. But they held on to 2 critical sectors. And these 2 critical sectors were technology and finance. So basically, they like to keep an edge on leadership in technology. And that's how Silicon Valley has prospered. And that's how Germany is still the powerhouse in Europe, along with France. And that's how UK is also holding on to some technology edge. But the same technology edge has reached Japan, has reached China and Southeast Asian countries. India is still uh, uh, holding on to an edge in technology, especially Bangalore and Hyderabad and Gurgaon to an extent. But we are still susceptible to looking ourselves as human resource and offering our services on a salary rather than creating products, creating exciting intellectual property, and monetizing the whole thing and reaping maximum benefits from that. We are still very prone to offering ourselves and our services on a salary basis. I think most of the huge part of the innovations which are coming from multinational companies is coming out of their India offices. So we have 5,000 engineers. Some company has 10,000 engineers. They are creating intellectual property for the company, and the company is making most benefit out of it. The other part, apart from technology, which the Western world has latched on to, is finance. On the back of strong currencies like dollar, euro, and yen, they have become money lenders to the whole world. And they are able to do so because the demand for their currency in the globe is high. So, 1919, sorry, in 19, sometime after UK gave up the global leadership to US, the US approached the Saudi family and struck an accord with them, which said that oil will be sold in dollars. And that is why dollar is also called petrodollar. And in return, the US promised that the Saudi family will keep on ruling Saudi Arabia, and it will support the Saudi family through high-tech defense and providing it the necessary military muscle. And apart from that, because US is an open economy, people trust the systems over there. So a lot of the wealth of the global elite moves towards US and Europe, and also to Dubai and some high-end countries like Singapore and in the past to Hong Kong as well. So because these countries offer good quality of living, so they are able to attract the global rich on the promise of a high life and on the promise of safety of their assets. And because they give a good life to the rich, so in 2000, since 2014, 15, uh, 5,000 millionaires from India have left every year to the Western world, to Dubai, to Europe, London. And this is also on the back of easy taxes. So in India, you are paying 30% income tax and 20% capital gains tax. In US, you are paying 40% income tax, but very less capital gains tax in the range of 10 to 20%. In Singapore, you are paying 15% income tax and 0% capital gains tax. So, Flipkart created a holding company in Singapore, and that was one of the big reasons why Walmart came in and invested $21 billion to buy the company. Dubai, 0% income tax, 5% GST, and hardly any capital gains tax. So also the difference between capital gains tax and income tax shows that the global elite are in concurrence with each other, that the taxes on the rich should be low. There was a study done by Forbes on the top 500 richest people in the world, and they calculated the amount of tax which the top 500 people in the world have paid since the last 25-30 years. And the result is the average tax paid by the top 500 richest people in the last 25 years is 3.4%. So that is why capital gains tax is either 0 or 10% or 20%, and income tax is 40%. UK it is 45%, and so there is a consensus that if people do a job, they will be taxed more. If they do a business, corporate taxes, there are ways to save tax across the world. But if they invest money and earn through investments, then they will be taxed the least. So we are living in a world which is for the rich, and everyone wants the rich people, even if they have suspicious criminal background. So the richest Russians live in UK, and the UK welcomes them in spite of problems back home, because they want the richest people to bring all their assets and wealth onto their country. So they have investment visas, EB5 visa. You can buy a citizenship of any country. So this financialization of the global economy has meant that the US, Europe, Japan, and now increasingly China, they can print as much currency as they want, and the value of the currency won't go down in proportion to the number of unit of currencies which have been issued. And that's why the global economy is getting more and more dependent on easy flow of money. So there was a research done in the West. I don't remember the platform which did the research. They said that for each dollar of currency which is printed new, the return from the economy on that dollar used to be more than 30%, and now it is in the range of 5 to 10%. So the global economy is getting drunk on helicopter money. Ben Bernanke used to call it helicopter money, that you keep your printing presses high all the time, you shower the helicopter money on the economy, and that money will slosh around in the economy, and it will keep the GDP high. So the biggest risk which Western central bankers, the Fed, the European Central Bank, and the Japanese and the RBI and the Chinese Central Bank, the biggest risk which they feel to the global economy is recession. And recession is basically nothing. It just means that your GDP growth is less than 0%. It's in negative. So even if it is minus 0.1%, the central bankers will wake up, print trillions of dollars currency, and shower it on the economy. So all that money goes in the hands of companies like Goldman Sachs, like Morgan Stanley, like pension funds, endowment funds, and this money gets into speculative assets. Because in the West, the manufacturing, although Trump tried a lot to bring back manufacturing, but the factors of production which are available in China, the US cannot match it in today's time, because they have not prepared for revival of manufacturing. It requires cutting edge engineering skills. It requires cutting edge scientific skills, and it requires a lot of money to be put by the governments in educating their population on these latest engineering and technical skills, which the US has not been doing. And that is why the US has been relying on foreign talent, and that is why they welcome people from from all the countries, to the high quality people, the highly talented people, to come to the US, because they themselves don't have this talent. And there was a talk which was given by Tim Cook, and in the talk he was asked that why does he rely so much on China for his manufacturing and for his business. He said, if I were to look at a quality tooling engineer in the US, I will probably fill a small room. So he was not talking about normal tooling skills, but cutting edge tooling skills. And he said that if I give a advertisement in China that I'm looking for tooling engineers, I will fill a stadium. So the factors of production, apart from land, apart from licensing, electricity, water, the availability of talent. And that is where India has not reached, where China has reached, Japan has reached, Southeast Asian countries have reached, Middle East have reached, because this high talent we are still giving on the basis of a salary. And we are not converting it into product-led, high technology, intellectual property creating companies. Our companies like Infosys, TCS, they are still, you know, they are still doing body shopping, and they are still not coming out on the cutting edge of technology. And and that's where, I feel there's a big gap. Now, because the Western world has become a lender to the whole world, they are able to decide which asset classes will receive this investment. And impact is a new buzzword. So we have ESG, environmental, social, corporate governance. ESG being a big factor of channelizing investments to particular companies. It just means that companies which are environmentally conscious, which are socially conscious, and which promote good corporate governance practices. They are 9.5 trillion worth of assets globally, investments globally, are right now in companies which follow superior ESG factors: environmental, social, corporate governance. This includes solar. Uh, this includes uh, employment generating companies. This includes environmental companies, and so on. A large part of ESG is also a fad, because a lot of companies, they start marketing themselves as being very high on ESG factors, and they are able to draw investment. Uh, Also, because if you create a purely socially oriented company, the returns that company will generate won't be very high, because their focus would be a lot on non-financial parameters. So that is why there are around more than 30 impact funds in India, like Elivar Equity, SBI NEEF Fund, Avishkar. Then you have Will Grow, Shell Foundation, DFID of UK. And so, all these impact funds, they want to put money in ESG companies, but privately speaking, whenever I have sat with them, they say that, Tushar, it is so difficult to make money on ESG companies. We are ultimately looking for returns as well. So we are always looking for companies which can generate high returns and at the same time maintain ESG norms, which is practically speaking a very difficult thing. So ESG is one factor by the basis of which the investors sitting in the West are investing. They are also investing very high on technology, whether it is education technology, edtech, fintech, agri-tech, D2C, direct to consumer. India was a zero market in D2C in 2015. In the matter of 6 years, now we are a $4 billion D2C economy. And consumer B2C, consumer B2B, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep tech, robotech, space tech, and all this technology is made possible because we are hooked on to the smartphone. The smartphone has become like a hand which you can't cut off. It is highly sticky. The stickiness is very high because the smartphone collects data on you, a huge amount of data. So, Google maps each person who's in touch with Google, whether google.com search, or Android phones or YouTube or Google Maps. Google has mapped each individual on this planet, at least 6 billion out of 8 billion, on a 700 parameters. So they know where you go, who you speak to, what do you like, where do you travel, and they are able to offer you uh, that exact data which your mind is seeking. So if you are on YouTube and you happen to talk to someone on WhatsApp about dogs, on the YouTube you will start to see dog channels. If you spoke to someone on a regular phone call about some lawyer, as soon as you open Google, you will see advertisements of lawyers. And it is so intelligently arranged because there is a lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So what has happened is that startups, they understand that we are living in a very, very competitive world. So they don't monetize their product initially. They first like to have huge number of customers. That those customers, they bring a lot of data. They analyze the data. They put artificial intelligence and machine learning in crunching the data, and then they start offering customized services, and that's where monetization comes in. So Cred, which is a company floated by Kunal Shah. Kunal Shah had earlier sold free charge to Snapdeal for $300 million. Cred has 1 crore revenue and its valuation is 7,500 crores, more than $1 billion. But the data which Cred is collecting is of the highly uh, high CIBIL rated borrowers of the market, those people who don't default on their payments. And this data has led investors to put in more and more money in Cred. And Udan used to have 60 crore turnover, but again, it is a unicorn. More than $1 billion valuation on a turnover of 60 crores with a loss of 350 crores. So all these losses, I will talk about losses as well. Okay. So basically, there are two ways why losses come. One is a faulty business model. The other reason is that the company is earning money and reinvesting the money to create new businesses. So Amazon did losses from 94 to 2014. And in these 20 years, it reinvested the money, and that's why the losses were coming. And the market, supported Amazon, and its share kept on increasing because the size of the company was increasing exponentially. They like the fact that this company reinvests its money, does not pay any dividend, but reinvests the money, and the size of the company increases. On the other hand, a faulty business model which creates losses, like WeWork. You take the best property in the city, you convert it into a 7-star property, and you give it out to people on short-term rent, even 1 day to 1 month, and you give out to those people who barely have a job. So this faulty business model has meant that although privately SoftBank had put in money in WeWork at a valuation of $45 billion, but when they got WeWork to do an IPO on NASDAQ, the investment bankers, when they studied the model, they gave it a valuation of initially $45 billion, but as soon as they understood the faulty business model, the valuation was slashed to $8 billion. And the IPO did not come, and it will never come, because once the IPO gets devolves, it drags the company to such a bad name that its IPO will never come. Just like Imar MGF, whose IPO got devolved, and till today it has not been able to come out with an IPO. So I will talk about two more things about the specific nature of the Indian economy when it comes to investing, and also how foreign investors structure their transactions when it comes to the Indian market. And the first thing is that India is a very, very difficult country to make money from. We are a very price conscious economy. We are very quality conscious uh, customers, and a lot of people have burned their hands while trying to make money in India. And one of the factors which investors uh, always complain is the poor state uh, of uh, contracts in the Indian economy. It is practically impossible to go to the Indian courts and uh, get a relief from them in terms of the time it takes for the Indian courts to decide cases. That has meant that the foreign investors, they don't like to sign contracts in India. The clause which they keep in their contracts is that the jurisdiction of this contract will be Singapore or International Court of Arbitration in UK. So what smart companies do is they create a holding company in Singapore and sign off majority of the contracts from the Singapore holding company, and they keep a subsidiary company in India. Also, because the liquidity available in Singapore is huge, it's a financial uh, hub for the entire Asian region. Liquidity is high, so you can anytime raise money in your holding company. Secondly, the capital gains tax is zero. And so if you sell shares of your holding company in Singapore after X number of years, you won't pay any tax. And India and Singapore have a double taxation avoidance agreement. So you don't get taxed twice. You get taxed only in Singapore. Secondly, the intellectual property of the company is being filed in Singapore, because in terms of governments providing money against intellectual property, Singapore is number one. It is globally number one. So you can always give your intellectual property to the Singaporean government, take a huge money in lieu of that, utilize this money to grow your business, and then subsequently you can return that money to the Singaporean government and take back your intellectual property. Secondly, keep your back office staff, marketing staff in India, because in India people love to do a job. So you find the best talent in India and the cheapest talent in India. So you create a holding company in Singapore, you file your intellectual property in Singapore, you create your back office in India, and you keep your top management in Dubai, because the income tax is zero. So you keep your top management in Dubai, you keep your intellectual property in Singapore, you create your holding company in Singapore. Creating a holding company in Singapore is very cheap, it does not cost much. And keep your back office staff in India. So this is the structure which smart investors follow when they deal with a country like India, where contracts are difficult to uphold. And okay, so while talking about the global economy, uh, I should probably tell you that if you have a startup which has come to you for funding, what are the funding options which are available to that startup if that startup is based out of India? So the first option which startups have in case they want to raise funding is, first of all, government grant. The government of India has a grant of 25 to 50 lakhs under the Startup India scheme. And you have to pitch your company to Startup India. But let me warn you, the number of companies registered with Startup India is huge. And the time taken in getting this funding from Government of India would be more than 1 year. So I have seen innovative companies which are after the Government of India and they finally managed to get 25 to 50 lakhs. Just to give you an idea, The government of India from 2014, we started Startup India, Invest India. We started DPIT, Department of Promotion, and also gave 10,000 crores to SIDBI for fund of funds. And SIDBI gave this money ahead to other VC funds to manage this money. It is more like a debt. So SIDBI gives money to the fund like it gave money to Bloom Ventures. Bloom took 200 crores and then makes money in 5 years, 8 years, and gives back the money to SIDBI as if it was a loan. So SIDBI does not get into equity funding. It initially IFCI and SIDBI got into equity funding. They made huge losses because the bureaucrats can't really, do a job which a fund manager does. So, we have a Startup India. In 2 years back, I was talking to a team in Startup India, and they had 28,000 startups registered with them. As on last month, when I talked to them again, they had more than 50,000. So 22,000 startups have been added to Startup India in the last 2 years alone. So the first option is you take grant from Indian government, 25 to 50 lakhs. The second option is you create intellectual property. You give this intellectual property to as a collateral to Singapore government or any other government. You take your $5 to $10 million and then you grow your business. The third option is going to accelerators and incubators. So accelerators and incubators are those entities which take between 3 to 8% of your equity, and they give you between 15 to 25 lakhs. And the smartest of the lot is 100x VC. And so what they do is they enroll startups. They take between 3 to 8% of equity. They offer them co-working space, Wi-Fi, CA services, CS services, legal services, registered valuer services. They offer them 10 weeks to 16 weeks program in which professionals from the industry, from the corporate world, they come and they address the cohort of startups which are there with each accelerator. Every accelerator has a different training plan. So this 16 weeks I'm talking about is of a particular accelerator in Gurgaon. And they might not offer you co-working space in all the accelerators, but some of them have co-working space as well. They give you co-working space free for 1 year, not more than that. And they also offer you individual mentoring. So, they call industry people to address you. If you like that person and you say that, I as a startup would want this person on my board of directors, so you can give that person from the industry 1.5 to 2% equity and take that person as a mentor on your board of directors. And apart from that, the second option is accelerators and incubators. The third option is sad to say that this option is not available in India. So if you are in the US and you apply to Y Combinator will ask you to present your business case on the stage in a 10-minute pitch. And this 10-minute pitch, when you give, your investors are watching, then after 10 minutes, the investors are supposed to write checks. And when they write a check, they sign an agreement which Y Combinator has promoted. And this agreement is called the SAFE agreement. And the way it is structured is that the valuation of the company is not decided at the moment when they receive the funding. the Y Combinator, it takes preference shares, and these preference shares are converted to equity when the next liquidity event happens in the startup. When the next round happens and somebody is putting funding in the company, Y Combinator's preference shares will get converted to equity at a valuation which is 20% discount to the next round of funding. So the discount is usually between 5 to 30%. And it gets converted to equity in the next round of funding. The main beauty of Y Combinator agreement is if the startup starts making good money and it feels that whatever money they took from Y Combinator, they are in a position to return that money. They can return the money to Y Combinator and take back the preference shares as if it was a loan. So imagine a new startup, young people getting $300,000 to $500,000 as a loan with no collateral and paying 0.5% to 1% interest on that, which is hardly anything. Annual interest, 0.5% to 1%. This option is not available in India. The Indian investors, they take equity between 16 to 24%. But in some cases, they take preference shares and debentures. So these preference shares and debentures, they can have a coupon. A coupon means of interest rate. But typically speaking, usually because these startups cannot pay the coupon, most cases, in case of preference shares and debentures, they don't carry a coupon. I have seen a company which was promoted by a guy worth 8,000 crores. And he invested 3 crores in a company, had a very smart team. And when he approached one of the investors here in Delhi, the investor immediately gave him a term sheet of $5 million. And that term sheet of $5 million, it had a coupon of 14%. So basically, the investor thought, this guy is worth 8,000 crores. He has put in 3 crores. He's saying he will put in 5 more crores. It is the safest kind of person to give your money. Immediately gave it $5 million term sheet and put a coupon of 14%. So basically, he's making 14% interest rate on the back of this rich guy. And then his equity, his preference shares will also get converted to equity if the company does well. If the company does not do well, he will tell the 8,000 crore guy, return my money with 14% interest. So, safest investment, no risk. So the third option, as I said, was Y Combinator, which was not available in India. First option was government grant. Second option was accelerators, incubators. Third option is intellectual property led funding. Fourth option is Y Combinator type funding. Fifth option is taking money from angel investors. Now, if the angel investor is a rupee angel investor and who's working in a corporate on a salary since many years, he won't give you big money. He will give you between 1 lakh to 25 lakhs. Usually between 5 lakhs to 15 lakhs. Some cases 40 lakhs also. I've seen angel, corporate angel in India giving even 40 lakh rupees. But usually they don't give huge amount of money. If you are an Indian angel from the industrialist family who have a lot of money, they will give you more money. So Haldiram family gave 25 crores recently to a VC fund. They didn't give this money to startup. They said, we don't know how to invest in startups. So we better invest in a VC fund. Let the VC fund charge me carry. Carry means 2% and 20%. I will explain that. Let the VC fund charge me a carry, and let the VC fund decide where my money gets invested in the startups. So the industrialist families, they have the money, they give more money. The third type of angel investor is dollar angel investor, who's working in a bank or in a high company in Singapore, Dubai, Hong Kong, and these guys have been earning money in dollars since a long time. So they are able to invest money in in 2 crores, 2.5 crores. I had this CEO of a Japanese footwear company based in Singapore, doing a turnover of $300 million. And this guy did not break a sweat while putting in 3 crores. He did it within a week. Take 3 crores. Very simple, no problems. So fifth option is angel investor. Sixth option is venture capital fund. Now, when the venture capital fund raises money from high net worth individuals, HNIs, from angel investors, that they promise them a certain rate of return, which is called internal rate of return, IRR. And usually the kind of IRR they promise to the angel investor is between 20 to 25%. But let me warn you, no angel investor is happy getting 20 to 25% annualized IRR because of the media. They see the media and they see that Sequoia invested $50 million in WhatsApp. In 2 years, sold WhatsApp to Facebook for $19 billion. From $50 million to $19 billion in 2 years. So the HNI who had invested in that particular vehicle of Sequoia, imagine how much he would have made. And you are just promising 20 to 25% IRR to the investor who's putting money in your fund. The investor is not happy. They will say, give me 300 times return. Give me 200 times return. And this means that the fund guys, they are so nervous. They are so edgy all the time. Their seats are hot all the time. That is why they invest with a herd mentality, because they need safety. They don't want to lose their job. So they will say, we invested in EdTech at 100 times revenue valuation, because see, all the others are also doing it. See, this fund did it, that fund did it. It is there in the media. So we are not at fault. So that is why they invest in herd mentality, because the LPs sitting behind them, they are lot of pressure on them, lot of pressure. If a GP manages a fund, 100 crores, invests in it in 3 to 4 years, if they don't show proper return, they will not get money for their next fund. It is a given. They won't get money. So these guys are also under huge pressure. How much they charge from the angel investor, I will just explain it to you. They charge a carry. A carry is 2% and 20%. Usually, it is also less than 2%, sometimes 1.5%. So basically, what they say is, we are taking 100 crores from you. And out of 100 crores, we will deduct 1.5% every year from this 100 crores. So 1.5 crores we will deduct every year. These are the admin charges. The admin charges for my office, for my salaries, for my legal, for Deloitte, for auditor, for the basic administrative charges, for salaries. And once we invest the money and we exit a company, whatever capital gains we make on that company, we will cut 20% of it. So 20% of the capital gains. So the carry is this 1.5%, 2%, which they deduct every year, and 20% of the capital gains. Now, if they are managing a small fund like 100 crores, do you think that 1.5 crore every year is sufficient to manage that fund? It is not. And that is why managing a small fund is not easy, because you are managing 100 crores, you are cutting 1.5 crores every year. You have to keep a big four auditing firm, because the HNI tells you, I want a top-notch auditor. The HNI tells you, I want a top-notch legal firm. You will have to keep a sexy office. I'm sorry to use this word, a very good office, because your team will come from the Ivy League colleges. Your team will typically come from INSEAD, Harvard, Stanford, from MIT, from IIT, from IIM, from ISB. These people, because you are a VC fund, you will have to pay them 60 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 1 crore, 1.5 crore. So even if you keep a small 4 to 5% team, managing that team, the office cost, the auditor cost, the legal cost, in 1.5 crores out of the 100 crores is not possible. That is why if you open a fund, you open it for 400 crores, 500 crores and more. Opening a small fund, you will always be neck deep in water. And that is okay. That is the thing. Another aspect of the Indian market, I told you about the Indian market. Contract resolution is a problem here. And lot of challenges around land availability, around but human resource is good. As a market, we are very price conscious and quality conscious. So I will talk two things now. One thing is exits available for the investors in India, and second thing is about the nature of startup investing in India. So the first thing is, when a startup opens, it first creates a POC, proof of concept. After it creates a POC, then it goes out to create an MVP, minimum viable product. MVP basically means that the product you are creating has a market. It has a customer who will buy your product and pay for it. Creating an MVP is the most challenging task for any startup investor, startup founder. And the third step is PMF, product market fit. Product market fit means that maybe you have 4 versions of your product. The pricing for each of 4 of them is different. And maybe you have a separate distribution strategy for each product. And the business model you have, whether it is commission based, whether it is monthly rental based, or it is one-time based, all those threads have been tied up. And when all these threads have been tied up, they get tied up after you do a proper primary and secondary research from the customer. And nowadays, doing a primary and secondary research from the customer is very easy. You have polling option on LinkedIn. You have polling option on all the social media. You just put out a poll, you will get all your answers. Or you put out a Google form and you offer them a small cashback. You will get all the answers. So, but it is also a fact, 60% of the startups close down because they created a product which does not have a customer. They created a wrong product. So if you are an investor, investing in a company which has created a MVP and a PMF, mostly a PMF, is very important. And that is why a lot of these funds are Series A funds, because they say PMF has been created to our satisfaction. Now just give the money. It is the easiest and the dumbest form of investing. Once your PMF is completed, give money, especially if it is a consumer B2B and consumer B2C company. The company will definitely make money, because India in rupee terms, we are a huge consumption market. Our consumption is $11 trillion, although our GDP in dollar terms is 2.7 trillion. But as per purchasing power parity, PPP, we are the third largest economy in the world after China first and US second. And uh, our GDP in PPP terms means that our consumption is $11 trillion. And that is why Boat headphones, Mama Earth became a 100 crore turnover company in 3 years. Boat headphones launched, within 4 years, it raised $100 million. This is all on the back of direct to consumer, D2C, which I mentioned earlier. So that is why we are seeing an explosion in consumer B2B companies and consumer B2C companies. Now, when it comes to the investor, there was a problem in India, historically, legacy problem, which is exits. In India, you are not able to get exits. It is very difficult for investors to make exits in India. That is why sometimes you see very funny things, housing.com, which has no correlation to OLX and Quicker. So the fund guys were having such a problem in finding an exit from housing.com that they merged housing.com with OLX. Both don't have any synergy. So you have these funny things sometimes. But usually the investor's term sheet, which is issued to the startups, it has detailed clauses on exits. And let me explain you what these clauses are. The first clause is that the company will come out with an IPO. And IPO of new age technology companies, loss-making technology companies, was not possible in Indian stock markets, NSE and BSE, because SEBI was standing in the way, Securities and Exchange Board of India. SEBI said 50% of your IPO should be reserved for retail investors. So if your IPO is 10,000 crores, you have to sell 5,000 crores to individuals, each putting in 1 to 2 lakh rupees. If you are not able to sell your 50% of IPO to retail investors, your IPO will devolve. And in the future, you will never be able to come out with an IPO. SEBI changed the rules after they realized that market making is done by institutional investors across the world and not by retail investors. It is only after the company gets listed that the retail investors take over. So SEBI changed the rule, and then you had the IPO of Zomato. And Zomato IPO has cleared a route, a path for a variety of startups which have come in, and now the whole pipeline is there. The second option after, first option is the company will come out with an IPO. The second option is the company will buy back the shares from the investor by promising him a certain IRR, internal rate of return, as mentioned in the term sheet. The third option is if the company is not able to buy back the equity from the investor, the founder will buy back the equity by giving the IRR to the investor. Fourth option is that they will mandate a third-party valuer And okay, Sanka Suryaji, I got your point. Sorry if I'm mistaken there. So we will appoint a third-party valuer and find a third investor who will buy the shares from the investor. The fifth option is that the company will go for a M&A, merger and acquisition, either by swap of shares or by cash. So all these clauses are there in the term sheet in the exit clause section, exit section. Now, so it's already 1 hour. I think I have spoken enough. I feel that I should throw it open for any questions which you have. And Ma'am Shilpa, I think it's already been 1 hour, so I'm open to any questions.
You were referring to this 100x VC. I came to know that they, their normal mode of investment is through iSafe notes, and their iSafe agreements, standard templates, they have put it in the website. Okay, right. So when I read through this, I couldn't really understand, and especially the post valuation cap, which is in vogue. So can you just highlight, for the benefit of others, as to how popular is it, and especially when 100x VC is involved, they will not like any other mode other than their favorite iSafe note. And again, sequel notes will follow, because once you have started in that path, you're caught. So what it is it okay? Who is safe? Investor is safe, founder is safe. What are the conversion terms? This is my point. Not many of us as a chartered accountant or company secretaries have really understood what is iSafe note.
Okay. Let me explain it as simply as possible. So basically, when you talk about valuation, the investor and the founder are talking about valuation, they will never come to a common agreement, because the founder will always say that look at my future projections, look at what I will do in the next 5 years, pointing more towards discounted cash flow. And the investor will always say, tell me what is there on the ground right now. Tell me right now, let us more look at market multiples, transaction multiples, net asset value. Let us look more on what is there on the ground as of now. And so to solve the problem of valuation disconnect, we talk about iSafe notes. And iSafe notes is actually a modification of Y Combinator safe notes. And Y Combinator invests only through safe notes. And 100x VC has copied Y Combinator. I'll give you all a very good idea. All the documents used by Y Combinator, including the safe note, are there on Y Combinator website. So you have they have standardized beautifully all the agreements which their startup sign, not only with investors, but with other parties as well. And all these standardized templates are available on Y Combinator website. And Y Combinator also has a 3-month program to teach about how they invest. And in case all of you have children who are of that age, you get them to do this program. It will really benefit them. And iSafe note I haven't read, but I have little bit of idea about it, so I will tell it. So they will take preference shares, and they will keep a very nominal coupon interest rate on that, which is 0.1% per year. And this preference share will get converted when the next funding round happens in the company. It is the liquidity event. When the next liquidity event happens, whatever valuation at that, whatever valuation is there at that time, when the next liquidity event is happening, the preference shares of Y Combinator will get converted to equity but at a discount to that future valuation, because they are investing today and taking more risk. So the discount which Y Combinator's preference shares will get on the valuation is between 5 to 30%. And usually it is 20%. So the problem is solved, that the valuation is dependent on the next funding round. And if you make use of Y Combinator's money efficiently to grow the business, you will get more valuation in the next funding round. And hence you will benefit as a founder. And if you don't make good use of that money, your dilution will be more, not only to the future investor, but also to Y Combinator. So that is why they have solved this problem.
Hi, Tushar. Pranav this side.
Hi, Pranav.
You mentioned about opening the holdco in Singapore and having the top management in Dubai. Why not the entire thing in Dubai?
Singapore, Singapore has a very healthy stock market, and the liquidity available in Singapore is huge. There are 13 regional treasury centers in Singapore. 1,300 global companies who are working in Asia manage their Asia treasuries by having the topmost treasury in the pyramid in Singapore. Because taking out money from Singapore and putting it money inside Singapore is the easiest. They are a very open economy.
All right. And what would be a cost of setting up a holdco and managing the legal costs on a very, very primitive basis?
See, as a businessman, I feel like telling you that I will do it for you and charge you money. But I will give you a heads up. The Singapore people are very simple and open-minded people. So
Right.
whatever they charge, it is available on their website.
All right.
And it is very easy to open a holding company in Singapore. Very easy to do the accounting and everything. I will give you a ballpark figure.
Sure.
It will take you 7.5 lakh rupees, which is 10,000 US dollars,
Right.
to open a company in Singapore and to have a regional person who's a Singapore national as the regional guy there. So whatever CA firm opens the company, they will keep one of their directors of the CA firm as director in your company, because if you have to open a company in Singapore, you have to have a Singapore citizen as a director there.
All right.
And they will charge you 7.5 lakhs. And out of 7.5 lakhs, 2.5 lakhs would be the recurring amount you have to pay them every year.
Okay.
And 5 lakhs will be the fixed amount. This includes accounting. This includes managing the company for 1 year and having a regional director.
All right. Next question would be, if my idea is investable, should I have talked to VCs, I've talked to angels, and even I've talked to industrial families. Whom should I approach to? Now, all those three are agreeing, sort of, I have a great idea to invest. Now, what would be my go-to figure? I am not willing to dilute more than single digits. And all three of them have agreed. It's a good pitch. It's a good idea. What is your suggestion?
See, if you are a first-time entrepreneur, then you should take money from someone who can put in money in the next round also. So what the practical difficulties which happen in the funding issues is, you took money for a cash burn of 12 to 18 months. And when you are going out in the next round, then a lot of investors are telling you, give us a leader in the round and we will put in the money. Give us a term sheet which you already have, a soft commitment or a hard commitment, and then we will give in money. So if your investor who has invested already in your company, if that investor is willing to put in to lead the next round, that will be a very big plus for you. Your round will get closed in no time.
No, so again, who would be the best strategic partner, a VC, an angel, or an industrial family? I mean,
is the industrial family in the same business which you are starting?
Yeah, one of them would be and one of them won't be, maybe.
No, so the thing is,
So it's a conglomerate. So it's a big business family, and the other one is not so big. But yeah, the other one would not be in the same business space. But both of them are willing to invest. Let's say I'm just giving a hypothetical example here.
okay,
Maybe they are willing to invest. You know, the one business family is a huge conglomerate, something like a Reliance, something at par with the Reliance industry, which is into every space you can think about. Then the second family would be something like Kent RO family, which is doing the only RO spaces. So in that context, all these families are willing to invest. And I have VCs and I have angels also, individual investors who are willing to invest. Then in that case, what is your opinion? Like all of them want to invest. Now, whom should I pick?
so to my mind, Deng Xiaoping, China's guy, who brought them to being a rich country, he said
Mhm.
money does not have any color.
Right.
So, look at the valuation which you are getting. That's the first thing. And secondly, I feel that in case you are taking money from a deep pocketed investor, that will be better for you. Because a lot of these
Valuation.
funds,
Mhm.
they keep money for follow-on rounds. So K
Right.
Capital, which is owned by Sasha Mirchandani in
Mhm.
Mumbai,
Right.
he invests 1 million in the first round.
Right.
In the next round, out of 3 million round, he puts in 1 million more.
Mhm.
So, have this kind of an investor who has pockets for your follow-on rounds also.
So as you also mentioned, the valuation will be fixed in the subsequent round. Right now, it's purely an angel round, as you can say. It is a single digit dilution that like I or my client would be comfortable doing. So that is what is setting the tone now, since everyone is liking the idea, the concept at the ideation stage, and they want to, play with this because there's a lot of liquidity in the market because people have made money in the stock markets, as you rightly pointed out.
Right.
So in that case, so you are suggesting someone with deep pockets, right?
Who can commit you future rounds also.
Right. Fine.
Thank you.
And
Yes, Mr. Amitabh, you can go ahead. You had some point.
Yes, hi. Thanks, Shilpa. Thank you. This was a very informative session. Really enjoyed hearing you. One question was talking about opening companies in Singapore. Can foreign nationals easily open companies in Singapore sitting in India?
You have to have a local Chinese citizen as one of the directors. So what the CA
Chinese
companies
or
do,
Singapore?
Singapore.
Yeah.
So what the CA companies do there is that they appoint one of their own persons as the directors. They charge you for that also.
Yeah, that I understood. The question was, how do we repatriate capital out of India to start the company?
Okay.
Mr. Amitabh is having his own startup. He's not a registered value, just to give a background.
Okay. See, I'll tell you, uh, with all the emerging economies, the problem is not in bringing capital in because they want the dollars. But the problem is when you take money out.
True.
So, a friend of mine used to head Asian Treasury of General Electric, GE, and he used to head it out of Gurgaon. And he used to be in such a problem because all these subsidiaries spread across Asia. And in India, when you take out money, it's a problem. So he shifted the entire treasury from Gurgaon to Singapore. And now he doesn't have a problem because now he has a pyramid structure in which Singapore is sitting on top. The money comes straight away from US to Singapore. Then it goes to the Asian countries. So you are very rightly saying that how to take out money from India. Um, See, my advice is you open a holding company in Singapore and you have a subsidiary in India. And when you are raising money for your company, you raise it in Singapore. Taking money out of India is a challenge. Uh, Either you can do it for business on the profit and loss side, or you can do it for investments. But then RBI will be very, very conscious that you are not round tripping the money. So, in case you are giving money from here to your holding company and the holding company money somehow comes back to India, then RBI will catch hold of you. So, all these factors you have to keep in mind.
Okay, thanks. Maybe I'll kind of connect on a separate note on that.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. I will have to actually do a deep dive into your exact situation.
Sure.
And
Thank you.
Tushar, I'll also connect with you offline.
Please do that. Please.
Just one question for everyone here. I mean, since all of us are registered valuers, what is the scope for professional opportunities in Singapore as a valuer, as a CA? I mean, okay, but as a valuer.
Take me along also to Singapore.
I love to. Would love to.
No. Okay, so Singapore financial sector is very mature. And they, in 2009, I used to be in Brand Capital Times of India. And the Singapore companies were really, I got so many calls from Singapore because they were developing their financial sector to compete with Hong Kong. Just like Hong Kong is to China, they wanted Singapore to be the financial hub for entire Asia. So who can enable them to come at that stage? Only Indians. So, they were calling Indians to develop their financial sector. And they called so many Indians that after 2014 and 15, they stopped calling Indians because they already had a very robust financial sector. And now the problem is that, they have an internal clause in the government that they won't allow more than 8% of Singapore population to be Indians. And that is why they are not giving PRs, permanent residency, to Indians. You might apply 5 times, 6 times, you won't get it. Only if you have a very good intellectual property and a technology which is not available anywhere, and you apply for the PR in Singapore basis that, then you will get it. If you are a Chinese, then they want that 40% of their population can be from China. But when it comes to India, it is 8%. And finding a job, doing a business in Singapore is very good. I know of many companies who are doing digital marketing, who are doing regular marketing, who are in financial sector. And the scope of valuation services is also very good. You should definitely try Singapore. The biggest benefit you will get is income tax is 15% and capital gains tax is 0. So, but the cost of living is very high. So if you are not making good money in Singapore dollars, a lot of people have to come back to India. So all these factors are there.
So would you suggest a virtual office kind of a setup there? I mean, I don't know.
But there are Singapore laws also, like, after a lot of Indians came there and took out jobs, and a lot of Chinese came in the manufacturing sector and took out jobs, there was a lot of uproar in Singapore by the local population. They said that just like Malaysia has a Bhumiputra law, that, if you are operating a company in Malaysia, you have to keep Malaysian people on your jobs. Similarly, Singapore also has a local law now. So you have to keep Singaporean people. And if you are operating in Singapore, then they have certain local norms also, that you have to have an office here, you have to have this much of staff, and you have to invest at least this money in Singapore in the office. So they have those clauses also.
Let's connect offline, Tushar.
Yeah, sure, please.
Any other points, or I have one point? Shall I?
Please, ma'am.
How about your term sheet? If there is any vesting clause, okay, is it acceptable, not acceptable? People are aware about the vesting clause, like a bad cause, a good cause, can you throw some light on it, or we can take up any question from any other participant?
Vesting, Vesting is usually in ESOPs, right? Employee stock option plans. Or you're talking about?
Actually, investing these days, no, the startup clauses, few VCs have started to put this clause. It's all about, the promoter shares will not be his shares anymore. And say, for example, a classic example is vesting of promoter shares to himself for over a period of 4 years. In case he leaves after first year, only 25% of his own shares he can retain. It depends upon how he is exiting. Good cause, bad cause. In case he is exiting after a bad cause, he can retain only his 25%. Automatically, the remaining 75% will go back to the investor because now he has to run the show at par.
So so you have explained it quite nicely. I mean, I didn't know that. So I don't know really what to say.
No problem. It's okay. So I was just wondering, what is the IRR which generally is acceptable to both founders and VCs?
It's between 20 to 25%. But let me tell you, investors are not happy with if you tell them we are raising funds from you and we will give you 20 to 25%. They are actually expecting huge return.
Yeah, just to add to what Shilpa ma'am told, the restricted shares normally doesn't go to investor, it goes to ESOP pool because the investors have to find another person to run the show. Normally, the restricted shares which are not vested to founder will go to the ESOP pool and not to the investors.
And from the ESOP pool, it goes to investors.
No, ESOP pool, it goes to the person who has been appointed by investors to run the company.
Oh, okay.
So Tushar, let me just ask you a question, practical question. See, typically these people who come to us asking for funds, they will say that I want an investment of, let us say, 8 crores. And there's nothing on the ground. Like you mentioned, there are those stages, POC, MVP, PMF, etc. So suppose we believe that these people are capable of only doing, taking in 1 crore and then go for the next round later, 1 crore, 2 crores. How do you handle such situations? You just avoid them completely, or what is your take on this?
So I'll give you two examples. There is a company called Divine Organics, which is Bangalore based. Not Bangalore based, Delhi based. And the biggest standard for judging the organic nature of your product, the biggest certification is EcoCert Cosmos V3, which is a European certification. So the founder of this company has been very senior in FMCG and beauty companies. He was also director of PepsiCo Europe, and his wife did a course from Christian Dior Institute in Europe, learning how to create organic formulations. So this company had a bad experience with an investor. The investor said, I will put in 15 crores, but put only 2 crores. So the business didn't go well. So they created huge amount of formulations for beauty products, for men's grooming, for children products. And all these formulations were up to the EcoCert Cosmos standards. And they said that we will open a new company and raise funding. Now the challenge was valuation, because the founder told me that he would need minimum of 4 to 6 crore rupees. And he does not want to dilute beyond 15%. So we did discounted cash flow. We did market multiples because a lot of funding has come into organic companies. But the best way we could find funding, we finally found 4 crores from them at a valuation of 25 crores. The best valuation which we were able to give to the investors, there are 3 angel investors, is on the basis of valuing the formulation. So typically, market multiple, discounted cash flow is fine. But when we did a study on the value of these formulations, because in India, there are only 2 companies which comply with EcoCert Cosmos V3. One is Juicy Chemistry and there is one more. So that kind of valuation, the investor agreed. They liked that kind of valuation. And secondly, I would urge you all to look at the business of 10 Club. 10 Club was formed by 3 people, and they had earlier taken a blockbuster exit in their previous startup. So they were already millionaires. And when they opened 10 Club, so they, the business model is based on a New York-based company called Thrasio. And Thrasio's business model is that they will go to sellers on Amazon and Flipkart, and they will, see the sellers on Flipkart and Amazon, they are small people. Their turnover might be 1 crore, 2 crore. They don't have the bandwidth to have a proper QA team, a proper product team, a proper marketing team, a proper HR. But 10 Club can standardize all these templates, and they have the muscle to have all these skill sets. So they buy small sellers from Amazon and Flipkart. They consolidate them, the product lines, and then they scale the product lines to 300 times, 400 times, 500 times, not only on Amazon and Flipkart, but also through their own website, thereby becoming a D2C company, direct to consumer company. And what 10 Club did to get the valuation, they had the money, but they wanted external funding at a good valuation. So they started approaching the sellers on Flipkart and Amazon and told them, we will be buying your company. Let us sign letter of intent. And they had $15 million worth of letters of intent signed when they approached the investors. And the investors finally put in $40 million of seed money. This is also true of the earlier organic company, which I just mentioned, Plantus Innovations. They had letters of intent signed with 28 distributors, and one big distributor in Dubai, Sara LLC. So it is basis all that work which they had already done, which provides a high visibility of high turnover, that they were able to command the valuation.
Right. So let me just, sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
So let me just ask you then, Tushar. See, the thing is, I have a couple of questions. One is that right now, let's say there's an entrepreneur who has put in his own money. He's put in, let's say, about $3 million into his company, Singapore-based, everything done as per whatever you said. IP in Singapore, senior management in Dubai, all of that he has done, let's say. Now, the thing is, he doesn't have a contract on the ground, okay? Because he's still in the stage of trying to get the business. Now, the issue is that in terms of valuation, he believes that he has a SaaS model which is 50 times of what, I mean, the typical SaaS model is 50 times of revenue is what they're talking of. So how do you find an investor at this 50x? And that's one.
Not easy. See, I tell you, 60 Baiju's latest deal got done at 62 times turnover. And edtech companies come to me, they say, give us also 62 times turnover. But
yeah, so with these unrealistic expectations, do you try to tamper it down?
No, yeah, you have to temper it down. You have to temper it down, right. And other than, and it's very easy to say go in for a safe agreement, go in for preference shares, debentures, but many times the investor prefers direct equity.
Okay.
And
So
to
then
add
there's
to
one more
that,
question which, so Tushar, there's one more question which I want to ask, which is that let's take a situation where, let us say that uh, we have, let us say, a set of entrepreneurs who have started their business, excellent business, all of that is fine. The only thing is that previous investor is in the business and they have a fairly large stake. So if you want to go for a further fundraise, your issue is that the cap table is in bad shape, right? You know how it will be. That is, the previous investor is in there with, let us say, about a 40% shareholding. The other investors are there with 60%. So if you try to dilute, there is no way that you can get a new investor in unless you get the previous investor to say that he will hold on, right? So how do you handle that situation?
See, these are very tricky situations. If you look at the example of Ola, what Bhavish Agarwal did when he realized that all these investors will be holding majority share on my board of directors. So the one route which he could have taken is DVRs, dual voting right shares. Just like Mark Zuckerberg holds majority control of the board of directors using DVR shares. But Bhavish did not take that route. What Bhavish did was he amended the articles of association of the company to say that any inter se transfer of shares of my company between the existing set of investors, you have to take permission from me, from the board of directors. So SoftBank was wanting to buy out the shares of Ola from other set of investors and SoftBank would have become the majority shareholder. Bhavish did not allow that. So you have to do all these things. DVR is one way. The other way is your article of association. And see, somebody having 40% in your company, uh, still, because the founder would have 60%, he still has control on the board of directors. So I don't think he should be wanting to lose uh, the control over board of directors. And in case he's wanting to bring in a third investor, see, end of the day, you will have to take permission of the 40% guy, because 40% is not a small amount. As per Companies Act, anybody holding more than 26% equity in your company has a right to block special resolutions of the board of directors. So it is not an ideal situation to be. I am happy to discuss it offline because the specifics of this case, I think I'll have to go in a bit deeper.
Sure.
Actually, Mr. Tushar, just in case, okay, any of our professionals, BVA members, would like to approach you because you are managing a VC fund. Can you just tell us a basic norm? Like, are you looking at a basic, say, a particular level, MVP level, or a particular size of the company, or any such minimum things which you would like to tell, so that all of us who are interested to get connected to you for fund proposals get a basic idea as to who can approach you, in case anyone would like to.
Anybody is free to approach me with any kind of company. I'm happy to help. But when it comes to idea stage, pre-seed, non-revenue generating kind of companies, then I cannot take those companies to the funds. I cannot invest myself. I will only be able to send these companies to accelerators and incubators. So we can always have a deal between the two of us in fee sharing. In case I'm doing more work, then naturally I will share less fees with you. In case we both are working jointly, then we can share it half and half, 50-50%. And when it comes to my investments, I have invested in 4 companies. One I exited some time back, and I'm still invested in 3. But I'm still mindful of the fact that vaccination is yet to play out. So I'm on a hold when it comes to investing. Otherwise, I'm very open to tie-ups with anyone, please feel free to approach me. I'll put in my LinkedIn once more here. And I'll put
Maybe
in
your
my...
email ID. You would like
Yeah,
to-
I will just put in my email ID also. Sure. That'll be great.
All along, I was wishing to talk to a VC, on this platform. So now it's like we are really happy to,
No, it's my pleasure. Yeah, I see a very committed and committed group of people. So it will be a pleasure to associate with you. And I really had a lot of good time today discussing this whole VC world.
Tushar, one quick question to bring in here. I've assisted a lot of startups in pitches and all. So the point is, everybody is looking for traction. Now, when I'm at a revenue or a pre-revenue stage, how do I show that to the investor?
See, that's what I said. If you are non-revenue, then at least you should have something to show. I mean, there are two pre-revenue companies, one based out of Bangalore, other based out of Delhi, both exactly similar companies. And when they went out to raise funds at pre-revenue stage, the first company based out of Bangalore, both these guys, very smart guys from corporate background, they approached their colleague, a senior from their company, and they said, we are opening a new company. Why don't you put in some money? So this senior said, okay, I'm happy to put in some money. Let us value your company at 1 crore. I put in 36 lakhs. I take 36%. So these guys had nothing to say. There is nothing on the ground. There is no revenue, no. So they accepted it.
Mhm.
And the second company based out of Delhi, this guy approached a builder. And the builder, he told the builder that weddings.in, which had 12 crore turnover, got sold for 400 crores to Oyo. So the builder said, yes, this business has a huge potential. Let me put in 2.5 crores at a valuation of 10 crores and let me take 25% of the company.
Right.
So when it is pre-revenue, the chances of you giving out 36% for 36 lakhs is much more than the chances of you getting 2.5 crores for 25%.
But it depends on the sector, right? Like cred, for example, is nothing on the top line and raise. So if Krunal Shah is raising, I'm just saying, if Ratan Tata is raising, then it's a different different story altogether.
Those founders who have already got good exits, they always get good money when they start out again.
Right.
So this guy, Jupiter, Jitendra
Khata book, if you've seen Khata book is also nothing in revenue, like nothing at all. And what was the last round? I think 600 million. I think
700 million.
Yeah. 700 million, right? So revenue is not something I feel in some sectors. I don't think that's a driver for valuation.
Yeah, it is not. ShareChat also. ShareChat is a unicorn and it has hardly any turnover. That is okay. I mean, but look at in the defense of Kunal Shah. I'm just trying to defend him. Cred is aggregating those people who pay their credit card bills on time and have a good CIBIL. So this database can be used by majority of consumer companies in India.
I understand.
To lend.
Krunal is somebody who's a different guy. But look at Khata book. Khata book is nothing in revenue. So basing my valuation purely.
Somebody is not on mute actually.
Yeah. So let's connect offline, Tushar. I think we will have
let's do that. I can't really defend
conversation.
I'll give you an example. I am really perplexed. Revolut, which is a fintech company, its last round was valued at $3 billion. And SoftBank has now put in money at $33 billion valuation. From 3 billion to 33 billion. So So we will discuss it offline and have a good fun on these things. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tushar, Sanjay, yeah, I had a question. Typically, when we are arranging funds, what is the cost that the promoter should look at? Not the cost of funding. So let's say that somebody is arranging, syndicating the fund and through the angel investors to family funds, etc. So for various options, what are the costs that one can incur? Let's say in terms of lawyer fees. So let's say if we were to educate a startup, what should be the numbers that they are looking at? And at various levels of funding, let's say they're looking for a 5 crore funding, a 10 crore funding, or 50 crore funding. How do we kind of judge whether we are overpaying, underpaying, something like that? If you can enlighten us on that.
See, the more well-known the investor is, it means that the investor has raised money from LPs, and these LPs will want proper compliances, which means that you have to keep costly service providers. Like you have to keep a big four for the accounting side. You have to keep a law firm like a very well-known law firm like Amarchand Mangaldas. So it really depends on the amount which is being raised and whether it is being raised from VC funds or it is being raised from angel investors. But the range, I will give you an idea. So Windrose Fund in Pune issued term sheets to 3 companies: Cloud Connect, Loan Simple, and NetPesa. And the amount was between 2 crores to 3.5 crores. And they asked 5 lakh rupees for due diligence from the company, and 2 lakh rupees for shareholders agreement and share transfer. And in total, for shareholders agreement, for due diligence, for share transfer, the CS work, it costs something like 7.5, 8 lakhs. But when it comes to angel investor, then the main cost is due diligence. It really depends what kind of due diligence the angel investor wants to do. Usually it is a 3-day limited due diligence, which costs between 1 to 2 lakh rupees. And the CA work, the equity transfer work takes like 50,000. The lawyer takes something like 50,000. But if it is a very small investment like 50 lakhs or 40 lakhs, then everything can be done. Law firm, due diligence, CA and CS, all 4 work can be done within 50,000 rupees. Okay. So this is the way it works. See, the lawyer will charge you if you have a good lawyer who has a long-term relationship with you. You can get him to work for your shareholders agreement between 25,000, 15,000 to 50,000.
Okay.
And CA 50,000 to 1 lakh to 2 lakhs. And so these are the charges.
When I approached law firms for SHA, I got a quote of 4 lakh, 5 lakh. The least was 1.75.
So you should have projected yourself as a startup person, not as an established person.
They saw the fund which they are getting, something like 10 crores and all they were getting.
So 10
the
crore they will
valuation
ask.
expected was 200 crore.
Okay.
Shilpa ma'am, you can do it yourself.
That is why all this research you can see, the terminology I'm using.
You can draft the SHA yourself.
Where is this triggering from now?
No issues there.
But I will like to tell everybody that I am always looking out for good agencies with which we can have a long-term relationship. So please feel free to approach me, and we will talk it out.
Tushar, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, one of my client, they are a 3-year-old startup, and they have put in, the founders have put in almost like 1 million. They are claiming to put almost $1 million into the company. So they have a good platform. It's revenue making, and they have they have good traction as well. And they are in an idea to skip seed round and directly want to go to Series A. So what do you think about this? But I suggest them, like they don't want to raise seed capital. They want to, they claim their valuation, amount like somewhere around $8 million, and they want to, at least raise $2 million. That's what they are looking.
What is the sector?
It is a D2C aggregator platform. It's like Amazon, but for D2C platforms. They tell it, they claim it is an AWS for D2C vendors. It's an AWS for D2C vendors. So it has the entire infrastructure for any D2C brand. So if you are a D2C brand, you can just plug and play into the platform and start your business tomorrow. I mean, start marketing tomorrow, and even delivery and everything.
Yeah, I mean, so all these aggregators and facilitators of online transitioning, digital transformation, they are already, there in the market. I must have seen like 5 companies which are trying to digitize the retail shops and kirana shops, and so what you are talking about is a aggregator of D2C. $8 million turnover.
No, it's a valuation.
Sorry,
valuation.
$8 million valuation at the seed stage, you are saying?
Yeah, they haven't raised seed stage. But the founders are very experienced, 23 years of experience in the industry, and now they have started up after 23 years of experience. They all belong to big brands, work with big brands, and they've been developing the platform for the last 3 years. And I mean, I found it quite sensible, but little exaggerated. But I just want to get your opinion on it, and maybe before talking to them.
So VC fund guys, they won't like to give 8 million valuation so easily at the seed stage. So what these guys, the way they think is, let us put in between $300,000 to 1 million, and let us take between 16 to 24% of the company, usually around 20%. So if they are putting in 20% for 1 million, then it will be $5 million valuation. $8 million would mean like around 10%, 12% equity for $1 million.
Even I suggested the same what you told me, like $5 million, because Shopify in its seed round had like similar to Shopify, not exactly Shopify. It had a $2.8 $8 million valuation in 2005. So I was like, factoring all the inflation and all that, maybe you can, 5 million would be but 8 million is too much, is what I suggested them. But like they are in the opinion, so just wanted to talk to them. Before talking to them, I just want to take your opinion on it, because
you do some more research on the market multiples and transaction multiples. Do you have access to databases like Bloomberg, Reuters, Capitaline, and these ones?
I think Capitaline might be available, but I don't have it. My seniors might have it. We have to check.
So just check from that database, because if you are able to get Indian and international multiples, then only you can convince them. So you have to convince on valuations by some proper logic and data, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Normally, which method do you use to identify, a startup proposal? Like we see, we call it as venture capital method in our valuation circles. So you actually use venture capital method, or you use a simple DCF or market multiples?
I usually go by, see, DCF is actually, I when I have to do a valuation for the startups, I give it by DCF. But DCF, when I am investing, then I just use DCF to understand the cash flows of the business, not so much to get a feel on the valuation. And when it comes to getting a valuation in my mind for my investments, I go in by transaction multiples and what the other companies are getting. And secondly, by market multiples, which means comparable companies listed on the stock exchange. What is the valuation they are commanding? And in case there is no similar company available on the stock exchange in India, then I go global. But comparing global companies with Indian companies, it's like comparing. It's not an easy thing to do because the nature of the Indian market is very different when it comes to comparing with the other countries. So usually I don't use the VC method. I know what is the VC method, but I don't use it, and I go more by transaction multiples and the market multiples.
So that means, say for example, right now we have a company idea, which has come to you. You go for a listed company, and then you compare it with what their valuation was at the seed stage, pre-seed stage, and then like that, go back
No,
in
no,
time
no.
for that.
No. So, to give you an example, uh, this chocolate confectionery company had come to me, turnover of 130 crores, and they are unlisted, and they wanted a private equity of a good amount, $25 million. So I compared them with FMCG companies listed on the stock exchange and got out from the data available of the listed companies. I got out the revenue multiple, EBITDA multiple, and uh, PE multiple. And once I had the PE multiple of 4 or 5 companies, because these companies are big and they are listed, I discounted those multiples basis the size of the company and basis the liquidity available in the shares and the business dynamics. So I discounted the multiples of listed companies, peer-to-peer listed companies, by almost 50%. And then I used these multiples to uh, calculate the valuation of my company basis the financial performance of my company. So I use those multiples on the financial numbers of my company, and then I got the valuation.
Which is your favorite software to do all of this?
Bloomberg and Reuters. Bloomberg is very good. Reuters is also very good.
But Tushar, in this case, we had the revenue and the other parameters, correct, to evaluate. Sanjay here. But in the case of a startup where there is just an idea, correct, and then we are talking about this method will not work. Then how do we go about doing things?
So that's what I'm saying. See, the thing is, I gave you the example of this organic formulations company, Planters Innovations.
Mm-hmm.
So they require 4 to 6 crores to generate a revenue of 8 crores in 6 months. So
Okay.
he was very clear. I just need 4 crore to 6 crore, and I don't want to dilute more than 50%, 15%. So we approached the investors. We told them we have the formulations, that is intellectual property, and we have letters signed from distributors, 28 distributors, including one huge distributor in Dubai, and everything is ready. We just need this money to get the initial batch of manufacturing going. And they understood that everything is ready. So, it just the only component missing is the initial cash. So, and they could see that, once they put in 4 crores, these 3 people put in 4 crores, then immediately this company will reach 8 crore turnover, and the valuations which are running in the market is 5 times turnover or 6 times turnover. And hence the company will immediately be valued at 40, 50 crores. So that is why, we managed to get a valuation of 25 crores.
So we take the potential revenue instead of
potential revenue. There has to be some, it is more than just the story, because story, please don't misunderstand me. There is a company which is into training for MSMEs. Absolutely bullshit business model. Let me tell you, in India, nobody pays for content. People think content is free. And this company is trying to create content for MSMEs in a fashion in which it will never make money. But the founder had sold the story to 3 or 4 angel investors and got money. They were just burning investors' cash. So, so that is why, you know, when it comes to idea stage, pre-revenue type of companies, I am a very skeptical guy. You know, I really take a very hard look and I take a long time to decide. I keep on watching the company for 6 months, and my sweet spot comes in when I see a good PMF. I see that this is ready to scale. And even if I'm getting a bad valuation post the PMF, I'm happy because end of the day, I feel a lot of comfort that, you know, this company is revenue generating and has a PMF. So that is my, and I don't invest in sectors which I don't understand. You know, if I don't understand a sector, I just, even if it might be the best of the founder, I just stay away. I just go to something which I understand.
So what are the things that make you run away from from a proposition, let's say, or an investor generally? So they will see these characteristics in the company and they'll see shy away from investments.
If they are blindly trying to copy other companies, it means that their own conviction is not, see, end of the day, you are betting on founders. End of the day, you are betting on people.
Correct.
And, you know, if I see a smart guy who, you know, I immediately get a feeling this guy is smarter than me. And when he explains the business, and, you know, they have so much of passion that, you know, people with conviction about their business, the trick to catch those people is that they will be positive. They will always give you answers which are half glass full, not half glass empty. And that positivity is what gives me the conviction to put in the money.
So actually, if you talk about this, it feels like it's beyond numbers, beyond the Excel sheets, correct? That leads
Beyond
to
the Excel sheets, the Excel sheet, I have the team there. They do the number crunching and they understand. The main thing is, see, the market size also should not be small. Because there is a company, a DOOH company, digital out of home. And it means that when you are standing in a mall and there is a advertisement showing on the screen, so if it is linked to a DOOH server, digital out of home server, so they will have access to how many people are currently there around that screen and what are their preferences. So the data about those customers is already there. So they will show you that particular ad which is most useful to the people who are watching. So very interesting company, DOH company. They had the algorithm, they had everything. But the DOOH market in India is only 50 crores. So even if best of founders were there, best of talent was there, best of technology was there, but they are in a market which is just 50 crores. So they will have to put money to grow the market. Just like you used to see the egg advertisements, buy eggs, buy eggs. They were trying to increase the market. So it's money waste. Market is 50 crores, you know, you will have to put money to grow the market and so much of challenges, and then it's better not to put money. So like Matrix Partners, you know, they have a clause in their investment thesis. See, all the investment thesis of funds are there on their websites. So the Matrix Partners clause is that they won't invest in a company which is operating in a market size of less than $5 billion. So market size is one, team, and the team should not be a single founder. It should be at least 2 to 3 co-founders, a healthy mix. The mix of the team does not mean that all of them are founders. There might be some CXOs, there might be some product guy, marketing guy, but the team should be healthy. Then market size, opportunity. Then the business model. How do they make money from the product? Is it commission based? Is it rental based? Is it monthly rental? Is it yearly rental? And one of the biggest things I see is, what is the fundamental problem which the company is solving for people? What is the problem? Uber solved a fundamental problem that you are not able to get taxis, and Big Basket solved the grocery problem, grocery at home, and Zomato, Swiggy are trying to solve the food problem. So there is a fundamental problem which the company should be solving, and the solution to those problems should incorporate the smartphone, because the smartphone is in everybody's hands and it is very sticky. So then, who are the competitors? What is the competition? If I'm not able to understand the business model of a company, I want to know who your competitors are so that I can understand your business. And once I am trying to understand the competitors of your company, then I also need to know what are your competitive advantages? How are you different? How are you better? And how are you different? Then I need to see the financial projections for the next 5 years. Uh, so this edtech company, which was there with me, they said they will do a turnover of $17 million in the 5th year. And somehow, I found it a bit less. But then, the multiples of valuation for edtech companies is 63, 62. And that way it looks like a unicorn in 5 years. So, I see that. And then I also see the ask, how much he's asking for. And some people say, give us $50 million, $100 million on seed stage. So it does not make any sense.
Correct.
Because why do you need the money? An intelligent founder will always take only that much money which he requires, because he is very aware that he is diluting equity.
Correct.
And people who are blinded by these numbers which come out in the media, venture capital, they ask for, give us $10 million, give us $20 million, give us $50 million, because they don't understand. End of the day, you are diluting your equity. So I see at the ask, and I very well ask them, how will you utilize these funds? If it is a consumer company and they are utilizing it for marketing purposes, I am very happy to give that money. If they are utilizing it for increasing the size of their team, the technology team, I am very happy to give that money. And so they have to justify why they need this money.
Important in this case, why they getting the money, where are they going to deploy?
Absolutely. And the last thing I see is future roadmap. In 1 year, how many employees you would have, how many customers you would have, if you will be entering new markets, that would be in which year. If you are coming out with version 2 and version 3 of your product, that would be in which month. So these are the ones for analyzing
telling us how the venture capitalist thinks and what goes behind their minds, because that's very important for us when we are positioning clients, or maybe coming up with valuations and telling them what is important. Maybe we are blinded at times. So maybe there's a person who's a single guy, correct, and he's trying to drive everything. So now I understand that venture capital looks at a team and the people behind.
Most important. See, even if it is a shoddy product, a product which is in the right market, but the product is shoddy, but the team is brilliant. So a person thinks, that the team will improve the product very soon, and they have the wherewithal to pivot the business model. So end of the day, I'm betting on the team.
Right.
And not a single founder. No, never.
Okay, got this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have come across a few promoters or founders who are too good at their work, whatever you have said.
But somehow I feel that they are so smart enough that they arrive at a particular value with no proper base. When I talk about as a registered valuer, I don't see any base in their projections, valuations, but their team is too good, product is too good. Okay. But then there is no base for valuation. Like whatever he says, like almost everyone is accepting. So someone will follow because others are follow. I can see pure herd mentality, and that number one person who is leading every round is too good. The leader of the round, funding round is too good, and others just follow. So is this common mentality what you see? Like if I'm able to impress the number one guy who is really good, and then others will follow. Do you see that herd mentality among the investors?
There is a term, I am forgetting the term. It means that groupthink. So what happens is the VC funds, they have very small teams, and when they sit together and one person is very, very convinced, and he's just like Arun Jaitley, always convinced of everything. So the others, they tend to follow that person. So yes, it happens, but see, end of the day, you have promised your LPs, limited partners, that you will give them 25% IRR. 25% IRR means more than 25% average return every year on that investment. And out of 10 investments, 7 companies close down. And out of the balance 3, 1 is a regular company which does not grow. Only 2 out of the 10 have a potential to grow. And 2 out of the 10, you want that any 2 out of the 10 should grow 200 times, 300 times, 400 times. When you are in such a crazy scenario, there is the scope of making a bad decision is very less. So whenever you are worried about whether I'm investing in the right price, whether I'm investing in the right company, always postpone the decision. So the fund guy will tell you, when you go to the fund guy, he will tell you, we would like to watch you for another 3 months. We will like to watch you for another 6 months. And then, if you are really on the fund guy's head, please invest. He will give you a sweetener. He will say, get your first 250 customers, I will put in the money. He will throw a challenge in front of you. Because the deal flow is very good. I get 20 companies a day. So, in any case, if I have a little bit of scope of making a wrong decision, I better not make a decision, just postpone it. And then look at a new company. And in any case, if I'm convinced, I go by herd mentality. I like to save my seat in front of the LP. So I will say D2C is the flavor of the seasons. Hence, I have invested in D2C. So in any case, I'm going by herd mentality. So if I am sure I want to put money in a D2C company, I will just put it on my social media. We are looking for D2C companies. I will get 250 D2C companies in 3 days. So that is the way I have seen fund guys work and take decisions.
I had one more question. This LP, when you mentioned limited partners, this is a US concept, correct? This is not in India typically.
Yeah, it is very much there in India. All the funds, Sequoia and everybody, they have LPs.
Incorporated in India.
Yeah, incorporated in India under SEBI's AIF norms, alternative investment funds. There are 3 types of AIFs which SEBI allows: AIF1, AIF2, and AIF3. AIF1 is for small seed investments. AIF2 is 50% you can invest small tickets in startups, 50% you can invest in listed companies. And AIF3 is 100% you have to invest in listed companies.
So these are entities which are formed and registered with SEBI, and
SEBI
they get
in India
from abroad, and they channel the funds through these entities into India. Investment. Okay.
Yeah. So any,
I mean, how is it different from any other entity? I mean, we can't do it. We can't form a private limited company or a LLP and get funds like this. We'll need SEBI registration, you're saying? So let's say that there are 10 people in the US who are interested in investing into India markets. So they have to go through the SEBI route, or they can directly we can form a company and then they get the money here and we give them the same benefits?
So you can open a private limited company and invest through that. But when it will come of the situation of returning the money to those investors who have invested, you will face problems. You will face legal problems, accounting problems. So, that's why people use AIFs, because AIF have a formalized structure of returning investors' money.
Okay.
It takes between 5 to 10 lakh rupees to open a AIF. The law firm will charge you between 5 to 10 lakhs. 5 is the minimum.
And then the SEBI registration will be separate on top of it.
SEBI cost is included in this.
Okay, SEBI cost is included in the calculation.
It's a small cost. It's not much.
Okay. And there is not much of accounting for such entities, correct? Because there are hardly any.
No, there is very proper accounting. SEBI does not want you to run with the investors' money. So they have modeled the entire AIF norms on Singapore norms. And you can imagine how Singapore norms will be. So it is very watertight kind of clauses.
Okay.
Friends, we have come to the end of the session, today's session. But please continue to stay with us. We'll have breakout rooms. I request the speaker also to be available and for this networking session in breakout rooms. And I request Mr. Subbarao to formally extend vote of thanks on behalf of Bangalore Valuers Association for today's speaker.
Yep. Thank you, Shilpa. Thank you, Tushar. Okay, you have given a wonderful session today where we registered valuers day to day. We calculate that enterprise value in different perspective, but with your session, okay, it shows us how the investor is thinking, how that the promoter is thinking, and which you covered what the definition of unicorn and how you can incorporate a companies in Singapore, like what is the cost structure. It will give a lot of knowledge for us, okay, which we can also try it and we can give some ideas to the investors. And also how we will do valuation in the case of startup companies, whether it is DCF or market comparable, which is, as you said, okay, it is the for everyone, okay, the right time. We don't know, okay, based on the company, we have to invest for in different companies, and which you also given, okay, that what we invest in 10 companies out of 10 may not give the what you call realization of. And also you shown us that how 300x, 200x, which we don't believe as where the company can earn this one, which gives us, okay, very prospective, okay, where we can look into the investors and we can inform. Thank you, and we will look more sessions from you, Tushar, okay, which I am seeing, okay, from the different chart, okay, your excellent the knowledge on the startups as well as the statutories also. Thank you very much, Tushar. Thank you for your time in a busy schedule.
Thank you to you and to everyone who came today. And thank you, everyone. I would take your leave now. Just have to leave for somewhere. Thank you, Shilpa ji, and thank you everyone for sparing your time. I would need a copy of the recording on Google Drive, Ma'am Shilpa. And
Sure.
have a good day. Thank you, all of you.
Thanks for accepting our invite.
Thank you.
Friends, stay on. I'll start breakout rooms.